19. The knowledge of cause and effect as shown by the laws governing steam, electricity, chemical affinity, and gravitation enables men to plan courageously and to execute fearlessly. These laws are called natural laws because they govern the physical world, but all power is not physical power. There is also mental power, and there is moral and spiritual power. 20. What are our schools, our universities, but mental powerhouses, places where mental power is being developed? 21. As there are many mighty powerhouses for the application of power to ponderous machinery whereby raw material is collected and converted into the necessities and comforts of life, so the mental powerhouses collect the raw material and cultivate and develop it into a power which is infinitely superior to all the forces of nature, marvelous though they may be. 22. What is this raw material which is being collected in these thousands of mental powerhouses all over the world and developed into a power which is evidently controlling every other power? In its static form, it is mind. In its dynamic form, it is thought. 23. The power is superior because it exists on a higher plane, because it has enabled man to discover the law by which these wonderful forces of nature could be harnessed and made to do the work of hundreds and thousands of men. It has enabled man to discover laws whereby time and space have been annihilated and the law of gravitation overcome. 24. Thought is the vital force or energy which is being developed and which has produced such startling results in the last half century as to bring about a world in which would be absolutely inconceivable to a man existing only 50 or 25 years ago. If such results have been secured by organizing these mental powerhouses in 50 years, what may not be expected in another 50 years? 25. The substance from which all things are created is infinite in quantity. We know that light travels at the rate of 186,000 miles per second. And we know that there are stars so remote that it takes 2,000 light years to reach us. That it takes light 2,000 years to reach us. And we know that such stars exist in all parts of the heaven. Yeah, that's definitely a misprint. That it takes 2,000 light years to reach us. And we know that such stars exist in all parts of the heaven. We know too that this light comes in waves, so that if the ether on which these waves travel was not continuous, the light would fail to reach us. And we can then only come to the conclusion that this subsistence or ether or raw material is universally present. 26. How then does it manifest itself in form? In electrical science, a battery is formed by connecting the opposite poles of zinc and copper, which causes a current to flow from one to the other and so provides energy. This same process is repeated in respect to every polarity, and as all form simply depends upon the rate of vibration and consequent relations of atoms to each other. If we wish to change the form of manifestation, we must change the polarity. This is the principle of causation. 27. For your exercises, we concentrate, and when I use the word concentrate, I mean all that the word implies. Become so absorbed in the object of your thought that you are conscious of nothing else. And do this a few minutes every day. You take the necessary time to eat in order that the body may be nourished. Why not take the time to assimilate your mental food? The same exercise from earlier. 28. Let the thought rest on the fact that appearances are deceptive. The earth is not flat, neither is it stationary, and the sky is not a dome. The sun does not move, the stars are not small specks of light, and matter which was once supposed to be fixed has been found to be in a state of perpetual flux. 29. Try to realize that the day is fast approaching. Its dawn is now at hand, when modes of thought and action must be adjusted to rapidly increasing knowledge of the operation of eternal principles. Another quote. Silent thought is, after all, the mightiest agent of human affairs. Channing. Part 19. Study questions with answers. 181. How are extremes placed in contrast? They are designated by distinctive names such as inside and outside, top and bottom, light and dark, good and bad. 182. Are these separate entities? No, they are parts or aspects of one whole. 183. What is the one creative principle in the physical, mental, and spiritual world? the universal mind, or the eternal energy from which all things proceed. 184. How are we related to this creative principle? By our ability to think. 185. How does this creative principle become operative? Thought is the seed which results in action, and action results in form. 186. Upon what does form depend? Upon the rate of vibration. 187. How may the rate of vibration be changed? By mental action. 188. Upon what does mental action depend? Upon polarity, action, and reaction between the individual and the universal. 189. Does the creative energy originate in the individual or the universal? And the universal, but the universal can manifest itself only through the individual. 190. Why is the individual necessary? Because the universe is static and requires energy to start it in motion. Thus is furnished by food, which is converted into energy, which in turn enables the individual to think. When the individual stops eating, he stops thinking, and then he no longer acts upon the universal. There is consequently no longer any action or reaction, and the universal is then only pure mind in static form, mind at rest. So I guess you got a being that live off of pure consciousness, then I guess they're not an individual.